One is this 201 for 3. Root going for the sweep shot. He's on 68. Is that the end of it? Still waiting for the replay to come through. Everyone's gathered around the TV screen in our box, as you'd expect. Mike Atherton's here as well. Nice to see you, others. Right, here we go. England have reviewed it. Is there anything? I'm not sure if you're hearing the third umpire, Kumar Damsina, or not. He's on screen. You see him. Running it through very slowly. No, there's no bat on it or glove or anything like that. Just a question of where's this going to go on? What's it going to do after it's hit the pad? It's quite leg side-ish. Is it just straight enough? Is it in that leg stump corridor for Zampa? I think the Australians out there looking at the big screen, they're not sure. Root's not sure. It's one of those, it feels quite a marginal one. Still waiting. Look, he's not hit it. They're just looking for we're looking for the mat now and the further technology. See where the ball tracking to see where this is going to go. Not surprising the over rates are slow and it takes this long to load the technology. Everyone looking up at the big screen, just waiting. Not least Joe Root. Straight. I think everyone's getting a bit frustrated at how long this is taking now. Here we go, finally. Finally we see the mat. Where's it pitched? Oh, it's pitched the leg stump and... Oh, umpire's call. It's umpire's call on leg stump. Felt a marginal one. It's gone against Joe Root. Sanrana, well, he'll feel his decision is vindicated. He gets to raise his finger again, this time a bit more emphatically the second time around. And England have lost their third wicket. It's 201 for 3. Root goes for 68. LBW to Zampa. Let out a huge howl there in his shout for LBW. He was convinced, and he convinced the umpire, and Root is out. That ends the partnership. Started at 43. It's ended at 201. And Zampa takes his first wicket. Thoughts on that, David? And then I'll bring in Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, I think Root will probably find himself a little bit unlucky there. I think as a modern batter, if you get a 50-50 umpire's call, you feel like it's a little bit of a guess. But, you know, the umpire's finger went up and unfortunately Root has to go. But he played fantastically well there, 68 of 78. First time he played a sweep shot, really, in this innings. But yeah, look, that was a vintage Root. He played fantastically well. He ticked over so easily. He's one of those guys that when he does score runs, you look up and you don't really notice he scored runs. And that was another way of him going about it today. And it's put England in a fantastic position. And I think this is going to be the challenge now for England. Brook and Butler, both of their records against leg spin, and especially Zampa, might not be as good as what they were. So this will be an interesting period of play for England against Zampa.
Yeah, just shaving that leg stump, wasn't it? And Root looked cross as he walked off, but it was just a very marginal umpire's call. So here comes Harry Brook. He's had a pretty miserable tour of India against the spinners, as we know, but he's not going to be facing spin immediately because Johnson's continuing from our end, the Wasim Akram end. He'll bowl to Duckett, who's a 7 away. What would be a really fine one-day international 100. He's looking around the field. The third man is fine. There's a fine leg, deep backward square leg, deep mid-wicket. So again, they've tried all day really to bowl middle and leg stump at Duckett. He's on 93 now as the tall Johnson runs in, bowls to him, and again tucks him up or rolls away out towards mid-wicket where Travis Head will pick it up, and there is no run. The crowd boisterous now as more and more are coming in, definitely, each time we sit here. The ground is definitely fuller. This is 3/4 full now, at least, which is wonderful. The late afternoon sun taking a long time, a lot of patience to come into the ground, but many thousand have for a neutral game. That's excellent news. Johnson again, tall, left arm over the wicket, bowls again, cramping Duckett, very straight. And Duckett prods that away into the leg side, again finds a square leg fielder. 201 for 3. Just looking at that replay of Root's predetermined sweep shot, he seemed to have it covered, but it just skidded on, just skipped on, clipping the outside of the of the leg stump. Very marginal, but you can't argue with the computer these days. It's got to tuck your bat under your arm and walk off. 2 dot balls so far for Johnson. Can he keep that pressure up as he moves in now? Past umpire Wilson, and Duckett tried to give himself a little bit of room there because he knows where Johnson's going to bowl. But once again, the big fella saw him moving, speared the ball into leg stump. Good bowling this, David.
Yeah, he's bowling fantastically well.
Yeah.
They've definitely done their homework today, and their plans definitely look different to Ben Duckett. He's definitely found some answers to it. To be 93 of 93, he's played fantastically well. But yeah, Johnson's bowling really well to him. And as I said earlier, this is a crucial period in the game. If England lose another wicket, it allows Australia to get through that 5th over, the 5th bowler that they want, and able to
Johnson
attack the
again
leg
bowls
spinner.
short, and Duckett steps away. He's swatted this down the ground for 4. It's an extraordinary shot. I'm tempted to say 15 love rather than 4 runs, because that really was a tennis shot. He stepped away, the ball that was short of a length, and he's cross-batted the ball absolutely straight down the ground.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot from Duckett. He's found an answer there. He's bowled exceptionally well those first 3 balls, and to find a way of hitting Spencer Johnson for 4 there just shows you what the modern players do, and they're always looking for options.
Well, that's an extraordinary shot. I mean, you do see the flat bat come out, but it's a pull shot normally, isn't it, that sends the ball away into the leg side, but that's gone absolutely straight down the ground. 4 more, 205 for 3. Johnson again comes in, bowls to Duckett, who does it again to bring up 100. And what a way to do it. Improvisation, but not dangerous improvisation, not the reckless sort of improvisation that has cost Duckett actually quite dear in the 90s in Test cricket. Controlled, flat-batted shot down the ground. And Ben Duckett reaches his 3rd century in this format of the game. And that's a really, really quality innings, that is. He's lost his partner pretty early in the 2nd over. But he's just... He's played just such a controlled innings, but yet still scored at a good rate.
Yeah, his tempo's been fantastic. He's played, I'd say, high reward shots for low risk.
Let's watch Johnson again bowling to him. He tucks that away out towards deep backward square leg. Think about 2, but only half-heartedly so, because he keeps the strike. So Harry Brook, who arrived at the start of that over, still hasn't faced a ball. And Duckett's reached 102 now from 96 balls. God, David, tell us all about that.
Yeah, he's played fantastically well. He's taken the right options at the right time. His tempo has been absolutely fantastic, and I've really enjoyed watching the way he goes about it. He's played the field exceptionally well. Australia have had mid-off up majority of the time to him, somewhere where he's probably not historically as strong, and he's found ways to hit the ball into those areas. And I think this has been a brilliant template for himself and for the rest of the England players to watch how to go about a 50-over innings, to be able to keep finding ways to put pressure on the bowlers without being reckless and taking silly options. So, yeah, I'm extremely proud of him to have gone and done this, especially when there's been so much negativity around England over the last little while with the way they've gone about their business, and for him to come and put on a 100 like this has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they really can pick themselves up from here. I mean, they're on course here. If they don't mess it up for a really big score, I think it's almost old money now, where you double the score at 30. I don't know how the modern cricketer works out a total. How, I mean, tell me, David. I mean, say the old formula was 30 overs, double the score, and you're not far off usually. I guess it's even more than that these days, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the players are always looking to push boundaries. I've got to be honest, I'm actually quite surprised Jos Buttler didn't walk out there. That's usually been the template over the last few years, is that if England get off to a really good start, he promotes himself and gives himself as much time as he can before that last 10 overs, so he can capitalise on those, on only having 4 players out of the power play. But I think we all know Harry Brook, when he gets going, is as good as anyone. But yeah, look, I think England would be looking at least to be getting 350 here, 360, and if one of those, Brook and Buttler, come off, hopefully a lot more. But yeah, they've set the platform fantastically well, and I'll keep going back to it. The template that they've had today and the way they've gone about it, obviously driven by Joe Root, and the way he has held that innings together, has allowed Duckett to take his time as well and rotate that strike.
Yeah, but this is the model, isn't it? This is how you play successfully in this form of the game. It's not rocket science, and they've made it look very easy, haven't they? Actually, they've just played, and you don't have to take that reckless option. I mean, now they've got the platform for some very dangerous hitters to come out, and they could really cash in. But it's just a question of manoeuvring yourself into that position to start with, isn't it?
It definitely is, and 50 over cricket is all about tactics. It's about understanding when to go, when not to go, when to soak the pressure up, when to take the positive option. And I think a lot of the time in 50 over cricket, and maybe in white ball cricket with England over the last couple of years, maybe since Morgan retired, was the aggressive option, and people get lost and get caught away in what the aggressive option is. And actually soaking up the pressure sometimes can be an aggressive option. Sometimes knocking the ball around and rotating the strike for long periods of time, that's a positive option as well in the situation of the game. And I think they've got that balance fantastically well today.
Right, the drinks have been taken, so we've got 18 overs to go. And England really well set here. They can put these bowlers to the sword of these remaining 18 overs. We just looked at some of the highest scores that England have accumulated. It might be a bit premature for that, but it's always worth having a look, isn't it? It's 498 for 4 at Amstelveen. So stands at the top, but against top-class opposition. 481 for 6 at Trent Bridge, which has featured a couple of times actually. 444 for 3 at Trent Bridge also. So that's a long way off at the moment. 210 for 3. With Zampa back in the attack. He's gone for 5.5 and over. And he's got 4 left. And, well, Duckett's ready to go. Everyone's ready to go, apart from Rana. We've seen somebody moving down there at the far end as usual. Zampa spins himself a couple of catches. Harry Brook's still a bit fidgety and twitchy. He's watched it over. He's had a drinks break. He hasn't faced a ball yet. Duckett's on 102. Here comes Zampa from that far end. Lots of gaps in the leg side, and Duckett finds one. He's tucking the ball away off his boots down to long on. And funny enough, the way the seamers have bowled at him, I know that it's not much time to talk, but between overs, David, the way that they've bowled at him, that sort of tucking him up, actually looked to be a good tactic. And he at times was a bit awkward, just fending the ball away into the leg side and being cramped and not allowing him to play forcing shots wide through the offside, that back foot cut that he plays so well. And yet he's 100 not out. I mean, he's found a way of getting through this attack that they've presented him with clearly well founded on stats and data, as it all is these days. But he's still found a way. Then comes Zampa, Brooks' first ball, and he drives it for a single through the covers, finding a gap out to deep point. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair comment. And cricket's about problem solving, isn't it? It's about batting it's about trying to find a way to score and trying to find a way to put people under pressure. And maybe the fact that they bowled differently to him has made him approach the game slightly differently, and the fact that he's actually not been able to get off to that flyer and had his blood going. And
here's Zampa again, short this time. Duckett on the back foot, doesn't time this flailing shot. I'm not quite sure he's trying to hit that offside or leg, but he's giving himself a bit of room and actually just found mid-off. And it's 212 for 3 in the 33rd over. Shadows extending. The floodlight pylon I talked about is now all the way across the ground. Zampa tosses that up, and there's a slice there from Duckett, a despairing cry of catch it. But it doesn't come far enough down to Spencer Johnson on the edge of the circle in front of us at third man. Duckett looking to slam that ball down the ground. 212 for 3, 6.5 and over England at the moment. 7 wickets left in these 17 overs that remain, so it's a perfect platform. Duckett just keeps going here. They've got a new batsman in at the other end. He's coming forward now, playing that back to the bowler, and there's no run. What England don't want are 2 new batsmen. Of course, it's exactly what Australia do want. Try and put a bit of pressure on 2 new batsmen coming in and feeling the urge to score quickly. It's a perfect scenario for them. So Duckett here, just to make sure that he doesn't allow Australia back in from that perspective. 212 for 3. He's gone for the reverse sweep now. Haven't seen many of those today, and this one has gone for 4.
yeah, it's fantastically well played by Ben. Just taking that positive option. He's bowled a lot of googlies to him in that over, Adam Zampa, and he's decided that he's going to take the risk and the positive risk, which is one of his go-to shots. And you're right, as you said there, about England not wanting to lose another wicket here. If you can restrict Zampa from bowling at Harry Brook, who's had his probably had his issues against leg spin, and if you can keep Joss Butler away from him, who Zampa has been able to sort of get out quite a few times in his career, I think it actually puts England in a fantastic position.
Yeah, it's a fascinating stage of the game. We've got Ellis coming back. I must say, Smith today has changed the bowlers quite exhaustingly. They've been on and off and on and off. It'd be interesting to see a scorer's chart we haven't got here, one of the old-fashioned score books, where you see the cross where the bowler comes off and then the over start again, because there have been an awful lot of crosses. He's changed the bowling a lot. And from either end as well. So we've got Ellis, he began the other end. He's had a spell up at this end. Now he's rushing in again. Over the wicket, he bowls on off stump with a big grunt. Lovely diving save there at backward point, denies Brooke a single. Out to third man is Labuschagne there. He's been good in the field today. He was almost borderline players in the Australian side. He wasn't guaranteed a game today, but he's throwing himself around in the field. He'll be batting down at number 5, I think he is. Might even be 6.
Maybe 4, yeah.
4, is he?
Yeah, I think he might be 4. Might be.
Depends on where Inglis bats, I think.
That's right. Yes.
But he might be 5. There goes Ellis again. Bowls a slower ball. Brooke waits, turns the ball away off his pads to the deep square leg. He was at 5, and he helped Australia over the line in the World Cup final, of course,
That's right,
18 months or so ago. Very silent, 100-odd thousand people in Ahmedabad as they watched the Indian ship sinking.
What a place to do it, though. What a place.
Yeah, that massive ground. Have you played there?
I have played there. I played quite a few times, actually. I was actually part of that World Cup where we were pretty poor against New Zealand to start, actually,
Yes.
and we lost.
Of course, you
against
played
New
in that game. Yes.
Yeah, so not great memories from there.
No, it wasn't a great start, was it? In goes Ellis again. Bowls very full and just blocked by Duckett. Quite content to play that back to the bowler. Yes, it was that match that rather set the tone, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. New Zealand actually played fantastically well.
Yeah, they did.
At Ahmedabad, the toss is such a big thing, especially with the dew at night. And, we were probably about 50 or 60 short with the bat, and New Zealand just knocked it off and made it look like we were about 300 too short. So
Yeah, they did play very well.
Yeah. Oh, they did play very well.
217 for 3 here. Duckett on 107 not out from 102 balls. Ellis is going to go over the wicket at him now. Another look of it. Looking, I suspect, again to bowl round about that Midland leg if he can. Let's see, and he goes bowls, and it's short this time. It's asking for trouble. Pulled away into the leg side. Duckett likes it short, of course. Small man, he plays well off the back foot, but he's crossed there. Didn't get hold of that one at all. He's thumping his thigh there with his clenched fist. He wanted to hit that for 6, I think. 218 for 3.
Yeah, I feel like Steve Smith's going to have to make a few more changes here. He's still got 3 overs to make up with his part-timers or the 5th bowler, and then that's all depending on whether the other guys that bowl, the pace bowlers or the Zampa, actually go for runs or not. So I think
it does set up from a young, well, not young actually, but an inexperienced bowler's perspective, and Steve Smith, a prospect of a horrible death through overs. In goes Ellis, bowls, and that's blocked by Brooke. I mean, who does he turn to? There's very little experience there in those seamers.
It does.
England are, if they're ticking, if Brooks got going and Butler's got going.
It does make it incredibly hard. You've got Ellis, who's probably your go-to death bowler, but Spencer Johnson doesn't really do it too often. Maybe they use Zampa a little bit more in the last 10 when they've got 5 out, and try and bowl some seamers out now. But same thing, you're probably going to want to get some of those 3 overs that you need to make up before this.
Yeah, they're going to have to go. 218 for 3. Ellis again runs in bowls, and Brooke casually drives him square. Just placing the ball for a single out to deep point. Over to our left, squinting into the sun. He is down there. The sun just starting to sink. Over to our right, and you get beautiful sunsets and ends of afternoons and starts of evenings here. We have an overhanging roof, so we might not have too much to enjoy it because the sun sinks very fast, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Enjoy it while it goes. But we've got a slither. We've got about 2 inches between the top of the stand and the overhanging roof of the press box here, so we'll enjoy it. But that's west. That's where the sun is just starting to slip. 219 for 3, and we're going to have Zampa bowling now his 8th over. So he might bowl this and then come off. He bowls away. Brooks down the pitch. He's carved a catch and he's taken a backward point. You heard the shout of catch it. And Brook trying to hit him hard through the offside. He's sliced, he's carved that catch there to backward point. And so England do lose that wicket. It's not Duckett, it's not the man who's set. But there'll be more talk, I suspect, about Harry Brook and spin bowling, like you tend to get when someone's on a bit of a bad run. And he's just sliced that catch away into the offside and departs rather disappointed. But Brook faced 6 balls for his 3. And again, it was Carey who took that catch. He's absolutely excelling in the field. We were talking earlier on, Victor, but to make sure he's keeping wicket here, because there's a couple out there. Well, Carey's taken 2 absolutely brilliant catches out as an orthodox fielder, and that being another one.
Yep, and Harry Brook, he's out of sorts at the moment, clearly.
Simon's coming in.
And that's what probably, he went for the big shot fairly early. Interesting, Steve Smith would have had to make a choice. He's got these 3 overs to find, but he decided to stick with Zampa, probably on the basis that, Brook is in a tentative, diffident sort of frame of mind. So he's stuck with Zampa in order to get another wicket, or to increase the chances of getting another wicket, rather than try and slip the casual bowlers those 3 overs in with a new batsman at the crease. He took the bolder option, in a sense. I'm going to go for the wicket, even if I use up another over of Zampa. He's in his 8th over now, and that's worked well. And it's sad to see Brook. At the moment, he is out of sorts. And actually, if you're in good form, I don't know, how do I know this? Well, but if you're in
you've had your time.
If you're in good form, you don't go looking for the big shot very early, because you are so confident that the runs will come. You don't feel the need to play the big shot to impose yourself. But Brook is not in great form. He's not in the series of scoring a lot of runs, and I think sometimes you're tempted to desperately go for that big shot to get going and impose yourself.
Well, this is a big moment in the game now. Josh Buttler's out there. England just lost 2 quick wickets. Butler's off the mark, first ball, nudging into the onside. He might come back for 2. No. Throws on its way. About 1 3/4 in that one. So wise not to go for the second. So Brook out for 3 and Root on the sweep for 68. England were 201 for 2. They're now 220 for 4. There are still 15 overs left after this. But they have now lost 4 wickets. Livingston to come, and then Cass. That one's tossed up to Duckett, who digs it out towards the long on. And a lot rests now on Duckett as well. He's 109 not out. I go back to that match in Bristol where he made that 100. He was a little bit 100 and out that innings. He got a bit loose and hit one to mid-off. But today is the day for really thinking, look, I've got to try, if you can, 150, something like that, 160. There's Butler driving firmly to Zampa's 4th ball of the over, up towards the long on, so Butler gets his 2nd run.
He's done well for Steve Smith, Zampa. He's got a couple wickets. He's not bowled much rubbish, and he's bowled relatively economically given the conditions.
It's 2 for 41 in his 8th over. 222 for 4. Here's Zampa going into bowl to Duckett, who hits his slicing stroke away in the air into the offside. He gets away with it. Goes out towards deep extra cover. And they come back for 2 runs. 224 for 4.
Yeah, well, I think the mid-off is up, and I guess that's what he's looking for. And he's hit a couple there, 1 for 6. The other 2 weren't quite sweetly timed, but they still did the business. That was a bit of a slice. He's still there, though.
111 not out. Zampa bowls to Duckett, goes bang, tries to cut the ball that's quite close to him, goes through to Inglis, who whips off the bails. Duckett rocks his head back. Well, he got away with that one. That's the end of the excellent Zampa's over. And it's 224 for 4. 15 overs left. Duckett has 111.
So if you're Steve Smith, well, you're pleased you've got another wicket, but there's real work to do. And his decision, a big decision for him, I would have thought, is do I keep Zampa going? He's got 2 overs left. Or in which case I could be exposed in the last 10 because I've still got to find those 3 overs from elsewhere. Or do I save Zampa for that last 10 overs with an extra man out, all his experience? Tricky one. We'll wait and see.
What would Captain Marks do?
Could probably give him another one, just save him for one. I think. I mean, I'd love him to get one more wicket, and then England are betwixt and between.
Definitely.
Livingston will come out and try and smash it anyway, I suppose. But then you've got prospects of bowling England out, which 25 minutes ago you didn't think that was really a possibility.
New over from Spencer Johnson, his 7th. Dwarshus rather, his 7th. That one's driven by Butler. Not with any great power, but he managed to find the gap up to long off, so they're through for a single. Travis Head picks up. Head's been quite quiet in the field today. It seems as if the ball's not necessarily come to him that often. 225 for 4, but he's lurking in the background.
We might have a bowl as well, you never know.
Yeah.
Still time.
So we've seen Johnson and Dwarshus and Ellis, Maxwell, Zampa, Short and Labuschagne will have a go for Australia today. This is Dwarshus, picked up those 2 wickets early on, bowls a straight ball, and Duckett respects it and plays it defensively back to the bowler. He picks up, and there is no run. And I agree with you, the innings now just was right in the balance, isn't it? Is it a few minutes ago, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, someone talking, chatter in the back of the box about getting close to 400, but that looks a long way off at the moment.
It certainly is. I think
someone's going to have to play a spectacular innings to get England up to that. Dwarshus bowls to Duckett, who slices that away on the cut towards deep cover, through for 1 run. Ben Duckett now has the highest score by an England men's player against Australia in a ICC 50 over event, beating Kevin Peterson's 104 at the World Cup in Antigua in 2007. Ben Stokes is the only other man to score a century for England against Australia in a World Cup or Champions Trophy. Also, that's come from Stefan Schemmelt. Here is a short ball from Dwarshus, just pushed away into the offside off the back foot by Butler for no run. 226 for 4 in the 36th over. Stefan's not with us writing for the BBC Sport website, but Matt Henry is, and you can catch up with his daily reports and features on the BBC Sport website. I also saw a message from Stefan which said that England had not beaten Australia in an ICC event, 50 over ICC event, outside of Birmingham since 1992.
Outside of Birmingham.
That's what they're trying to do today. Here is Dwarshus bowling to Butler. He's on the back foot, doesn't really time it. We'll get a single. He found a gap through straight mid off. Butler to 4, 227 for 4 in the 36th.
So how many victories in Birmingham, I wonder? Is it just 2 or is it more than that?
Well, there was 1 in the Champions Trophy.
Yep.
In 2000 and the year they got to the final, lost to West Indies. That was the semi-final. 2004.
Okay.
Yeah. That was 1 there, and of course the World Cup semi-final.
There might have been any others. Do you think?
I'd have to sort of dredge my memory for that. There's Dwarshus bowling a slower ball, and Duckett waits for it and then leans on it, plays it up towards long on, 3 for a single.
I mean, the blunt truth is, although it may be uncomfortable listening, is that Australia have won 6 World Cups and 2 champion trophies, which slightly outstrips 1 World Cup and no Champions trophies in 50 over cricket. I mean, that's the tough truth. They have usually prevailed when it matters, Australia.
So England's last win outside of Birmingham against Australia in a 50 over ICC event was Sydney 33 years ago. Defeats in, formally.
Well, it sounds really bleak, but we need to know how many games they've played too.
Okay, well, the defeats in, I just wanted to tell you, but you interrupted me. Defeats in Port Elizabeth, Jaipur, Antigua, Centurion, Melbourne, London, Lords, and Ahmedabad.
Oh, quite a few then.
Yeah. Right, Zampa is going to continue for another over, his 9th. 228 for 4. Duckett on 113. Zampa bowls a reverse sweep, reasonable contact, and that is going to bobble away towards the boundary for 4.
Yeah.
Say reasonable contact. There was just a hint of top edge in it, but it took it over the inner ring. It didn't go quickly to the boundary, but it went to the boundary. That's the crucial thing as far as Duckett was concerned. 232 for 4.
It went fine enough to beat the man on that offside boundary who's square of the wicket. In fact, I think they're just going to bring it a little bit finer to try and cover both options, cover the drive and that reverse sweep. We haven't seen that reverse sweep at all until the last, until he got 100.
Nathan Ellis down there, giving it up to start, but then the ball just seemed to plop down. He only chased after it, but couldn't catch up with it. Zampa bowls, Duckett props forward and defends back up the onside of the pitch, and there's no run. So Zampa's got 10 balls left. And you feel in this Australian lineup that he is the biggest threat. He's picked up a couple of wickets. Desperately wants another for his captain Smith as Duckett launches this low skimmer up towards long on. It nearly got there as well. That would have been a remarkable catch. It barely got off the ground. That's a single. 233 for 4 in the 37th over. A big crowd watching on intently, some in the shadows now, away to our right-hand side. They'll be grateful for that for a while, and then it might get a bit chilly, so they might want the sun back. But left-hand side of the ground in sunshine still.
Well, it's I don't know how many people are here now, but I would say it could be up to 25,000, which is great for if you like, a neutral game. Come to have a look at the new stadium as well.
Zampa bowls to Butler. Butler leans forward, hits this crisply back to the bowler on the drive. There's no run. It's so different from the last time we were here. There's no roof on it now. And it seems the one tier, bowl-like one tier, stretching a long way back. Zampa bowls to Butler. Oh, Butler gets into a bit of a tangle there. Inside edge onto the pad. The ball drops at his feet. Inglis steps forward to pick up. And there's no runs. And they've increased the capacity of the ground. I don't think the capacity was that much before this. I think it's about 40,000 now.
I would think so, but I'm guessing.
There are a few empty seats. A few thousand empty seats, but quite a few people in. No doubt disappointed with that the defeat for Pakistan against New Zealand in their opening game, which increases the pressure of tomorrow's big match against India, which is in Dubai. You can hear that on 5 Sports Extra, the ICC website, from 8:45 tomorrow morning. Busy weekend of sport. 6 nations later, Scotland against England on 5 Live, and all the day's football as well. 2:33 for 4, and highlights on the BBC Sport website. Just pause for a moment. There's someone moving at the far end, so the action delayed. 4:45 it is in Lahore. 2:33 for 4. Zampa bowls. Butler drives along the ground towards long off. Runs through for his 5th run. And that's the end of Zampa's 9th over. So one more left for him. He might just want to leave it for, I don't know, potential
emergencies.
Lower order player later. A Cars or something, 8, something like that, coming freshly in, and might be able to nip out a couple of an over.
Well, we'll see. I mean, in one sense, they've got a couple of wickets. Australia, Steve Brook went cheaply, and England haven't yet been able to push that accelerator. There's a what's this? We're looking at a no ball.
No, it's a no ball.
We've got a no ball, and therefore a free hit.
It's the end of the over from Zampa. We thought it was.
Everyone was starting to move into position, and now they can change the field because Butler took a single, but Duckett has got the option of a free hit, so he could try and go over mid-off or just heave to the leg side. We'll wait and see. Or reverse. He's got freedom anyway. He's got absolute freedom.
Here goes Zampa to bowl to Duckett. Free hit, a full toss and hit high down the ground, out towards long on. There's a leap in the air. It's gone for 6. Unsuccessful from Labuschagne. That is a bonus for England. That was. Off that ball. I'm just trying to think. 8 off the ball, wasn't it? A single for Butler was a no ball, and then the no ball, and then the 6. So 8 off the final ball of Zampa's over. Well, 241 for 4 off 37.
It kind of makes it. We said they lacked a bit of momentum. Didn't quite middle it by Modders, but he just got enough of it on the full toss. So that's a real bonus for England.
Takes Duckett to 124 from 113 balls. 13 overs to come.
Yeah.
You want a minimum.
They're 2 minutes behind now. I don't know how serious that is.
Probably not that serious at the moment. Although they've got the pace bowlers to come back, haven't they?
Yeah,
Well, they've got 3 overs of spin to bowl as well. 4 overs of spin to bowl.
And they have a sign that I've not seen before, but I expect you have. It says time between overs. You've got 42 seconds left. And it's a bit like what I've noticed when you watch tennis nowadays, and indeed rugby, when they're taking
kicks,
conversions or penalties, that there's a clock on them, and I don't know what happens if they don't meet the time. Anyway, we're off.
Well, you get run penalties eventually if you do it. Was it twice? And that first ball, the over from Dwarshus is defended into the onside towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. Was it the third offence is a penalty if you're if you're slow between the overs. I actually think they should just, if you have a stop clock, if you transgress straight away, penalty straight away, that would concentrate the mind and speed things up. Also, I think a minute's quite a long time, isn't it, between overs?
Yeah.
Here's Dwarshus bowling, and Root plays that away towards extra cover.
Butler,
there's no run. Sorry, Butler. Yeah, Butler. Yeah. So much in that. Commentating for so long on that Root partnership. And actually, it was a Root-like shot in a way.
Yeah.
That reminded me of Root. But anyway, Josh Butler, he's there on 5. Root out for 68 in my last commentary spell. LBW to Zampa, and then Zampa getting the wicket at Brook for 3. Here is Dwarshus bowling to Butler, and Butler just holds the bat there and times it nicely up towards long off. And they're through for a single, 242 for 4.
So nothing elaborate from Butler so far. I mean, I think they're obviously so conscious of the fact that they haven't built on relatively good starts in the recent history. So Butler's not come out with all guns firing. He's having a look. Duckett's done pretty well since getting his 100. He's still played with a little bit of discretion.
Dwarshus bowls to Duckett, and Duckett pulls, low pull, not saved at mid-wicket despite the dive. It was one of those sort of shadow dives really from Matt Short mid-wicket.
Get real gold glow with Pakistan's first and #1 Barley 24-karat gold clean cream bleed skin good.
5 overs today, played 37% attacking shots, which is the lowest in the first half of an innings in the last 51-day internationals going back to July 2021. So that really emphasises the change of approach from England today in terms of reining things back a bit. Dwarshus bowling, clipped away by Butler neatly off the back foot, and a bit of bottom hand towards a mid-on, straight to Maxwell, but he's right on the edge of the circle, so Butler was able to run with the shot. But they've still scored 244 for 4 in the 38th over. They've still set up the possibility of 350 plus. But 350 was chased on this ground a couple of years ago. Exactly 350 was chased on this ground a couple of years ago by Pakistan against Australia. Dwarshus to Duckett. Duckett gets this down fine. It's running down towards the boundary, and it's gone to the rope for 4. A little
leg buys.
Off the pad of Duckett. Yeah.
But that won't worry Duckett greatly.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's perfect placement, really. Just to tickle off the pads as he looked to play into the onside. And just flicked the pad and ran away quickly. 284 for 4 then. 12 overs left of this England innings. Butler is there on 7. Duckett is on 125. It's a fascinating prospect. This, you think England have got a lot of runs, but it's a strong Australian batting lineup, and the due factor later, and it's a flat pitch, and it's a quick outfield. So
we don't know who's winning.
No.
248 for
Jonathan's
4.
coming in.
12 overs to go, though. You can go. A lot can happen in that 12 overs, and it'll be critical. I mean, if Butler and Duckett stay together, you can get 3 figures in 12 overs easily. But if they don't, anyway, good game, isn't it?
Really, really exciting. And as we said earlier, it could be hard for Smith looking around that field at who's going to bowl at the end. Well, if the ball is flying around a bit. Maxwell is having another go now. It's his 6th over, and Butler pushes his first ball out towards Wyberd off for a single. So he goes to 8. Duckett, 125. He's played so well today. It's been measured Duckett today. He's playing his shots, but not recklessly. He's been controlled Duckett. Not the Duckett who we've seen get out in the 90s. What, 3 times in Test cricket? I think I was saying that's off the top of my head, but too often. But he's played really well today.
Yeah, I wonder.
Despite the Australians having quite a good plan for him too in bowling, tucking him up, bowling middle and leg. But, he's countered that. Maxwell's going round the wicket and he just plays defensive this time. Maxwell trots through and picks it up. 249 for 4. Almost full the ground. I'd say it's 7/8. What do you think? Well, a bit of an area.
It's a good crowd. Anyway.
It's a very good crowd. Yeah. Maxwell again bowls. Duckett's down the pitch. It hits it for 6. Just past the England dugout. One of those flat ones too. Skimming just over the fielders' heads. It just kept going. The ball flying away into the crowd. Again, just an excellent shot. Perfect balance.
Yeah, that was effortless. I mean, he's hit a few straight drives, which is not always his forte. They make him straight drive now, or he gets them to keep those at least one fielder up because he's so good at sweeping.
Yeah. He's opened his gap up. Maxwell again bowls to him. So he does sweep. There's an appeal. But the ball flies away down towards fine leg. Very fine leg. It's running towards the boundary. Shouldn't quite get there. It doesn't quite get there. Picked up by Zampa. Just a yard inside. At 257 for 4. Duckett 133. He's playing well. He's prodding at the pitch there, but that's like cement. It's going to be a very good pitch. But the question we haven't had answered yet is due and how England's bowlers will fare later on, holding the ball. 257 for 4. Next one has him swatting that hard. Cracked that, didn't he?
Yeah, he was
towards mid off.
4 feet one side or the other. He had a boundary there, but that's the sort of area he's looking for. Mid off is up for the off spinner, long on his back.
Maxwell bowls a slingy ball this time with a low arm, but it's turned round the corner by Duckett. Zampa will field it in the shadow of the floodlight pylon, and they take 1 run. So he keeps the strike, which is how England would like it. 258 for 4. That rate just above 6.5 with 11 overs to go.
I mean, a feature of this game, correctly, is that we're used to an absolute rampage of 6s. In fact, there's just been 4 6s.
Yes.
I mean, years ago, you'd think 4 6s is a lot, but actually nowadays, 4 6s in 40 overs nearly of one-day cricket is not that many. It's partly because this is a big ground, especially square, and it's partly because of a certain amount of discretion that they haven't looked up until now for the maximums. They've picked up a lot of ones. There's not been too many dots. It might change in the last few overs, but we'll see whether they can clear these big boundaries.
Change again. Dorcas, his left arm seam is bowling, is flogged into the leg side by Duckett. Only get 1 there. So let's look at the bowling options here. This is Dorcas' 9th, and you'd assume probably he'll bowl out here.
Yeah,
you kind of assume they normally bowl in 2 overs. So it's probably just dawning on Spencer Johnson, who's got 3 left, that he might have to bowl at a difficult time here, unless he comes back and bowls 1.
Well, I think Ellis is a bit of a specialist right at the death bowler, and then I'm not sure where they go.
259 for 4. Dorcas bowls, and that's tucked away by Butler, flicking that hard into the leg side. Under a laboured chase there for Maxwell, running round from mid-on, or maybe just
accepting the
there. He's not a very laboured fielder, he's a very nimble fielder. He didn't run very fast after that. 261 for 4. Projected scores, here we go. So current rate 332. They up it. 340, 345.
ਕਹਿੰਦੇ 2024 ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗ੍ਰੈਜੂਏਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਣੀ ਐਸਾ ਕੋਈ ਸੀਨ ਹੈ
some hitting to come.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम वो साजी खबर मिली सी कि यार कहंदे ने
that's 10 overs is a long time in the modern game, but it can go either way, but you've got scope to get 3 figures in 10 overs. You've got 2 men really going.
Gorgeous round the wicket, bowls short, and Butler's hit that hard straight to the man out of deep square leg. He had a very satisfying sharp sound in the headphones there. sharp, but also like a sweet sound when you know the ball's at the middle of the bat. 262 for 4. Butler 11. He'd love a score. Take some pressure off him as well. I mean, for Butler, an England win and for him to get a nice 50 here would really start this tournament off well for him.
Well, the first bit's the most important. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's been under the cosh personally too, hasn't he?
Well, he played quite well at the start of the India series, and then he's been dragged down, I think.
Yeah, let's talk about looking in the mirror and smiling and so on. It sounds a bit torturous. 262 for 4.
Peter Willey advocate that at Leicester when things were not going very well?
I don't remember him smiling in the mirror. In goes Dorcius Bowles, and that's hit hard by Duckett, pulled away out towards deep square. Fielded by the man just inside the boundary. And they come for one more, so Duckett 136.
So the pace bowlers are bowling a bit like they do at Cardiff, haven't they, with the short, straight boundaries, but pretty big square boundaries. So they're banging that ball in, and they're hitting some good pull shots, but they're hitting the field at the moment.
It's an oval, this isn't it, rather than a circle.
Yeah.
Very much a cricket oval. Dorcius Bowles, slower ball short, tucked it off the hip. Butler's got his eye on 2, fielder sprints in. Won't pick up that second run. It's Carey, won't take any chances to him at the moment. He's been brilliant in the field today.
Yeah.
264 for 4. Duckett 136. I'm assuming the floodlights are on, but this around about the time they start bringing them on, sort of feed in the light. But
we can't see the top of a floodlight, can we?
We've got, it's going to be a bit of a shame because the potential sunset area is just that little slither of sky we can see. In goes Dorcius Bowles. It's hit hard off the back foot. That'll be 4. Carey can't get that.
He made a little bit of room before the ball was delivered, didn't he? He saw the gap there, that square third man position.
That's the area they've tried so hard to avoid today.
But he just gave himself a bit of room as the bowler was about to deliver.
Yeah.
And it was, he middled it.
Yeah. They're so Duckett, and they've tried to bowl straighter than that. But that was one that got away, and Duckett make them pay for it.
So we're into the last 10.
Last 10, and now it says 1 minute behind up on the clock. And it's a reminder what that means. That means that if Australia get to the point of where the innings should end, which I think I'm right in saying is 5:30 local time, and they get there an over behind, then they have to have that last over with an extra fielder in the circle. If they get there 2 overs behind, then they have to have, that's 2 overs which have to have an extra fielder in. So the minute is only a guide. It doesn't mean anything apart from the fact they are slightly behind to finishing on schedule. Maxwell from that far end bowls a new over, the 41st. It's played out to cover.
Extra man on the boundary now, allowed and taken. 5 on the boundary, permitted.
Yes, Maxwell again. Bowls, and he's hit that hard and high, that into the crowd.
Yeah,
some young lads under there scattering to get underneath it, trying to take the catch. That's Joss Butler. Short arm jab, down the pitch.
So, I mean, by most people's standards, that's a big boundary, but he's cleared it by about 15 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, really big hit. And those young lads are so excited. They've got quite a high fence to deal with there too, and a bit of razor wire, so they've got to be careful. Here comes Maxwell, bowls. Oh, he's short, and that's pulled into the leg side. Not where he wanted. He'll feel he missed out there, I think. Bit of a long hop. And Butler on the back foot. I think, I could have hit that into the crowd as well, actually. 50 partnership, 39 balls. Butler's contribution, 19 of those. Maxwell. Long shadow now to his left as we look at him. Bowls, and that's carved away. Just wide of third man, not quite where Duckett was intending, but I'll take another run as that's thrown back by Dorcius. 276 for 4 in the 41st over. Duckett 141. You could get a really big score here. It's closing overs. There's a flatter one. Butler again hasn't quite got hold of that, but he's hitting out towards deep straight mid wicket. It's gone for 4. I was talking about that satisfying sound previously. That again, that was a little bit clunky, that, but it's still gone for 4 runs. 280 for 4.
Well, yeah, a little bit clunky. I don't think I ever hit one that hard.
Well, no, you wouldn't.
Or I'm not sure you did either.
No.
It was a little arm ball, and he pulled it, and it didn't go for 6, but he did bisect the 2 boundary fielders out there and hit it, well, pretty well.
No, he hit it well. It comes off the bottom portion of the bat, I'd say. Here he goes again, and that's hit hard out to deep mid-wicket, and he's taken the catch, and very well too. Butler's out, and that was taken right by his boots there. He seemed to have got hold of that one.
He did. I think that's half the problem. It was a skimmer. And it was a very good catch because that was travelling. It was just a bit too full for him to get right under it, I think. Or especially where he was hitting it.
So he tried to pepper that leg side boundary.
Yeah.
That's a good low catch, because that's more or less what, low shin high. Butler punches the ground with his right glove there. Disappointment.
Yeah.
As that catch was taken by Ellis. But, 23 to Butler. 280 for 5 now. 9 overs left.
Well, 9 overs still a long time. It can go both ways, as I keep saying. Livingston will be the next man in. It kind of keeps the pressure on Duckett. I know he's been out there all innings. Yeah. He's probably weary. He's got 140 to his name, and he might well think, well, I'm running out of puff here, but they actually need Duckett, even though he's done all this work, to stay there a little bit longer. And Livingston has got a bit of time. He doesn't have to go straight away. We know how dangerous he can be if he gets in. But 9 overs is still quite a long time, otherwise you'll get into that territory again where you're caught betwixt and between. If Livingston goes, Cast is a very good hitter of the ball, but you wouldn't really want to see him at the crease with 9 overs to go. 4 or 5, he could be dangerous.
It's the beauty of 50 overs cricket.
Yeah.
They do have to continually reset innings, don't you? You press a reset button, not to restore it back to where you were at the very beginning, but you just have to, just at moments, just take a check, work out where they are. Right, okay, we've lost a wicket. How do we get through the next 3 or 4 overs? And it just requires that sort of thought, whereas T20 is get out there and just keep whacking it.
I mean, that's what Duckett...
This makes you think more.
And that's what Duckett has done so well in this innings. He hasn't always played like that, but he's actually, by his standards, this is one of the most conservative.
They don't see the fire inside us.
He's got 140
every set
20 balls though.
Yeah. 280 for 5, 9 overs to go. And Livingston won't be on strike. That was the last ball of the 41st, actually. So 280 for 5, 9 overs to go. Duckett on 141. And Livingston at the non-strikers end. So Labuschagne's going to bowl. They're still fiddling through these overs. There have been so many bowling changes today. They've really worked hard. Smith's been computing everything. There's a thick edge as he prods forward. Ball rolls away out to point. Take a single. 281 for 5. Aaron Finch is back. It's the time now, isn't it? This is kind of either side here could make a break for it.
Yeah, absolutely they could, and that's why the wicket of Joss Butler was such a big one. It looked like he was really trying to target Glenn Maxwell and up the ante. And you'd take going an over for 12 to get Butler at the end, particularly leading into this back 9 overs.
Nice catch too. The Australian catching's been good today.
Yeah, it's been outstanding, led by Alex Carey early on. Yeah, absolute.
No, they've done well. There's a number of possible 2s that have been 1s in the field coming in. They've had a good day in the field. 281 for 5 then. Livingston's first ball. We're facing Labuschagne. There's a long on and a long off. Labuschagne moves in, bowls to him. He's on the back foot, steering that quietly out to cover. And there is no run. He's got an opportunity to get his head down. Let's have a look. He's got a man so well set at the other end. He could knock it around easily, but...
That's the beauty of one-day cricket, isn't it? There's so much time.
Yeah. Labuschagne bowls to him short, hits it hard. That's half stop there at cover. And they're going to scramble a single, but a hand ringer there for Steve Smith.
Yeah, it was hit hard from Livingston off the back foot. Good one-handed dive. Just couldn't reel it in to stop that one.
That is a stinger. He's still wringing his hand now. 282 for 5.
So now the issue for Ben Duckett is he's been looking to be really aggressive when he had Joss Butler at the other end.
You tell me, because we were saying here before you walked in, somehow Duckett's got to stay there, yeah? England don't want 2 new batsmen in. Here's Labuschagne bowling, and he's forward, tucking that away into the leg side for a single.
What might help England and Ben Duckett here is how cooked he seems to be out there. He's not running between the wickets with any great intensity. The helmet's coming off quite regularly to try and get some air in.
Hot. Yeah.
So maybe it's an opportunity for him to just relax for 2 or 3 overs, try and get some energy back, build this partnership. It doesn't have to be 10 and over from the outset. You can still take 2 or 3 overs to build it.
Labuschagne bowls and Livingston flogs out into the leg side. He's hit it hard. There's a fielder out in the deep, though. Maxwell with his familiar sun hat on, he'll throw that back. And Livingston goes to 284 for 5 with a ball to go in the 42nd. But good pitch, quick outfield. You need a lot of runs on here, I think, to challenge. We don't know about the dew, do we? We don't know what it's going to be like later. There's Labuschagne bowling, tossing it up, tucked away down to short, fine legs. Quick single taken by Livingston. That's good running.
Yeah, Australia trained last night, and they said that the dew's still coming towards the back end of training.
They did.
So that'll be interesting. That
explain why they fielded first as well?
Yeah, that's right. Steve Smith said that at the toss, that they expected some dew to come in. But saying that, I was in Karachi for the opening game, Pakistan versus New Zealand, and Mohammad Rizwan said the exact same thing. The dew will come in later on, and it was so windy out there that no dew came. The wicket continued to deteriorate, and combine that with a real lack of intent in the first 10, 15 overs from the Pakistan batters, just meant that they were always so far behind the game. You know from the Australian lineup, you're not going to get that from Travis Head and Matt Short at the top.
No. Oh no, there's a lot of entertainment to come today. I don't know what a strong wind is in Pakistan. I'm looking at the flags up there.
It looks like a beautiful breeze.
It looks a bit sort of floppy, yeah. It doesn't look. I mean, is that a dew wind or a non-dew wind? I don't know.
Dew would still form with a breeze like that.
Oh, right.
The other night in Karachi, it was a proper wind.
Was it?
Not quite like the Fremantle Doctor going across the old whacker, but it was still a stiff breeze.
I was talking about that the other day. Does it come across the new the new Perth ground?
No,
you don't get it.
No, because it's more of a.
It's a big bowl, isn't it?
A big bowl, yeah. There's not a huge amount of gaps there.
Oh, what a shame. The old Doctor, that was such a feature of Test cricket, wasn't it? That would kick in. Get the swing bowler
3 o'clock. That would come in and give some relief in an unbelievably hot Perth
absolutely.
afternoon.
Terry Alden would come on. 285 for 5. Now we've got Ellis back here, and the inside edge into the pad. He's bustling through. Thought about kick the ball at the stumps, actually. He went for the scooped throw, but he's already in his ground. Livingston says, well run to Duckett. Fresh legs. Going to keep Duckett on the move here. 286 for 5. In the 43rd over. Crowd enjoying this. It's not full, but it's nearly full. It's a really good crowd for a neutral game. Saturday afternoon, all that. But England, Australia. But this is you can hear really belligerent, boisterous crowd enjoying international cricket here in Lahore.
Oh, it's just great to see them getting world-class cricket again. I know that teams have been touring Pakistan more regularly in the last couple of years. I was lucky enough to be on Australia's first tour, I think in 29 years, back in 2022. Just the appreciation to have cricket back here in this country, particularly an ICC event, is unbelievable.
Ellis rushes in. Here he comes, bowls, full pelt there on the off stump, and Livingston waits and guides the ball out to backward point.
That was a pace-on delivery from Nathan Ellis, and we haven't seen that a huge amount of times today. He's preferred to go the back of the hand slow ball and the cutters right throughout the innings, and he's been fantastic. 7.2 overs, none for 33.
He's done well.
But when the ball was flying around inside that power play, Johnson and Dorcius were both quite expensive early on, and that just allowed Steve Smith a little bit more leeway. It's been fantastic, and he's still got a lot of work to do in this back end.
Ellis runs in, arms and legs pumping as he bowls there. He's run down a third man for a single. I mean, he must be exhausted at the end of a long day. So much energy in this run-up.
Doesn't leave anything in the tank, does he?
He doesn't.
He's unbelievably fit.
Which state's he from?
He plays for Tasmania and the Hobart Hurricanes in domestic cricket, but grew up in New South Wales.
Okay.
Travelled down to Hobart with no contract in place, no guarantees, just rolled up and said, I want to play some club cricket. Took a chance and it paid off. He's one of the great men to have in your team.
Oh, good. He looks so wholehearted. Here he comes, left arm thrashing around a bit, and that's steered away off the back foot down to a deep point for a single.
He captained Hobart Hurricanes to their maiden Big Bash title throughout well, just recently. And that was only his second year captaining the side. So he's done a really good job. Someone that everybody loves playing with. Like you said, he gives 100% all the time. He trains the house down. The coaches continually have to rip the ball out of his hand at training because he wants to keep bowling and bowling and bowling because that's what he's known. That's how he got his start in professional cricket. He'd turn up to training, he'd turn up to Tasmanian training and just bowl and bowl and bowl.
And he goes again, bowls Fuller, is driven straight down the ground though. The fielder at mid-on should get there, Maxwell. And they just take a single. Yeah, a real proper, wholehearted trier. 289 for 5. It's bending there at the knees. He's puffing a bit. I mean, it's not a hot day, but you're out there in the sun batting from the start. He's been out there for over 3 hours now. Helmet on and all the kit. It's certainly warm enough. 289 for 5. Ellis bowls to him short, slower, and has paddled away, but not timed, fielded by Inglis. So, the end of 43.
Livingston waits. Zampa goes into bowl to him, short, down the leg side. It's a wide. It's a little bonus for England, although Livingston, well, I thought this is a juicy long hop to hit for 4 or 6 there. He just missed out. Anyway, he'll get another ball. 309 for 5. And Zampa tries again and bowls to Livingston. Full. Livingston drives, but straight at extra cover. Straight at Steve Smith. No run there. Livingston stays on 13. England on 309 for 5. Ben Duckett has got half of them. Fractionally more than half. Here is Zampa bowling to Livingston, who covers up, pushes that way into the offside for a single. 310 for 5.
Yeah, I think that's a good single for England, that. Getting Ben Duckett on strike. 2 balls left from Zampa for the end of his spell. So it'd be interesting to see how Duckett goes about it and whether he tries to take as many as he can off these next 2 balls.
Field has just about changed over. 25 past 5 local time. The cut-off notionally is 5:30, but they get a bit of allowance here and there. Zampa bowls again, reverse from Duckett. Doesn't quite get hold of it, and it goes out towards, well, what started as extra cover. So that's a dot ball from Adam Zampa. 2 for 63. Final ball of his spell coming up as England try to press on to something like 350 if they can in these closing overs. 4 overs left after this one. Good score, but is it a winning score? Zampa to Duckett, gives himself some room. That thickish edge down towards the right of short third as he looks at it, and they go through for a single. So Duckett takes the bowling at the end of the over. There are 4 overs left. 311 for 5. Livingston 14, Duckett 156.
Yeah, I think if these two come back for at least the next 2 overs together, I can see England hopefully getting themselves around the 360 mark. There's not a lot of experience left apart from Ellis in the death bowling, which means Spencer Johnson's going to have to bowl 2, which, you know, he doesn't usually do at the end of an innings. So it'll be interesting to see how these two go about it, and whether they target Spencer Johnson and just play Ellis off for a little bit.
Zampa's finished then. 10 overs, 2 for 64. It is going to be Ben Dwarsus to bowl his final over. 2 for 56 from Dwarsus. He got things going today for Australia. Salt and Smith out early. And here is Dwarsus. Left arm over to bowl to Duckett, who crashes in before, giving himself a bit of room. Hits that wide of mid-off, up towards the boundary along the ground, and Duckett now on 160. And England move to 315 for 5.
Yeah, that's not the place to bowl to Ben Duckett this time of the innings. It's almost trying to take the length out to him and try and tuck him up for length and bowl as full as you can to him. So I think he'd be a bit disappointed with mid-off up to have bowled a wide ball to Duckett, which is his strength.
Well, Ben Duckett just keeps on going. Dwarsus bowls to him. Reverse, I don't know, what is that? What sort of shot is that? Reverse pull or something? A reverse kind of lap stroke? Anyway, he didn't get a run for it. He hit it reasonably well. I suppose when you're 160 not out, you can play all sorts of shots, but he hit it straight to Travis Head at backward point.
Exactly. I think he's earned a little bit of fun for himself here, and hopefully he can get a few more of those going away, because when he gets them going, they're fantastic to watch.
It's kind of like a reverse lap pull stroke. It's the best I can do, I'm afraid. Dwarsus bowls. Duckett swings us away into the leg side, down towards fine leg. Just a single this time. He must be pretty tired. He's been out there batting for 3.5 hours. But it's not roasting hot today in Lahore. It's a lovely, nice temperature for playing cricket. Probably the sort of cricket weather. You think of a really nice May day in England, something like that. That's been the weather today. You know, and there's a clear blue sky in May. That sort of warmth today, low 20s. 316 for 5. Duckett on 161. Livingston on 14. He's on strike now. Dwarsus left arm round the wicket to bowl to him, and Livingston is going to be caught at deep backward square leg. Straight to the fielder, who does not have to move, and Livingston is on his way. Nathan Ellis down there. He picked him out perfectly, and Livingston is out for 14, caught on the boundary. And England are 316 for 6 with 3.2 overs left of their innings.
Yeah, that's a huge wicket in the context of the game. Livingston with all the power for England. Duckett has been fantastic, and would probably be more the one that deflects and uses the sort of the low risk for high reward options, whereas if Liam Livingstone comes off, he could massively change the game in a few balls. So that's a huge wicket. It was in the area for him to hit. It's one of the areas where you'd say that Liam Livingstone would put you away every day of the week, and he's unfortunately picked out the fielder there. And now it's up to Ben Duckett to try and get as many runs as he can for England in this last couple of overs.
Yeah, it's all on Ben Duckett again. He's 161 not out. He's batted throughout the innings. Well, he's got his eye in. He's been hitting it so sweetly, but he must be pretty tired out there as Bryden Cass makes his way out to the middle, and we know that he can play some strong shots as well. But it is a big boundary square the wicket, and Livingston going for that big hit there just could not get enough on it. And Ellis, a metre inside the rope, he said thank you very much and swallowed it. Right, Cass is very nearly with us. Jonathan Agnew is with us at 316 for 6 in the 47th over.
Yeah, Cass a dangerous batter this time of the innings. He's had quite a big impact in his few innings that he's had for England since he started. So, we expect some good things from him here.
Right, this is played off the front foot by Cass. Is off the mark first ball, but pushing it out towards mid-off. And England move on to 317 for 6. Livingston there going for the big one. Bit of a hoik, and that's picked out the fielder absolutely precisely. Down there is Ellis, who took the catch comfortably. So Duckett still soldiers on, 161 not out. Reminded by Matt Henry, of course he was ruled out. He had a groin strain, could hardly move a week ago. It's remarkable, really.
Yeah, he'll be feeling that when he's fielding in a few hours.
He will. There's a short one from Dorshouse. It's gone for 4. Pulled hard through mid-wicket. He just stood there. Advantage, I think, there of being slightly small in stature. In fact, I think he's just limping a little bit there. Let's have a look. He goes to 165 not out. I wonder if he is limping or whether he's got a bit of cramp. But he's definitely hobbled a bit there as Cass came and gave him a touch on the gloves. Yeah, I think he's just tweaked it there as he set off for the run. Looking at the replay.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of cramp or a little bit of soreness, or it could just be getting out a fielding injury. That's.
I wasn't going to suggest that.
We've all been there. When you look at a long 3.5 hours to go and you find something that's a bit niggly. But no, hopefully he's all right. And the way he's playing at the moment, the way he played in India to some extent as well, where he actually looked like one of England's best batters. If he can stay fit and continue, he can play a massive part for this Champions Trophy for England.
Well, I'm interested in this, and that Labuschagne is going to bowl the 48th over. And he's bowling to Cass, who's on 1, and the first ball's played into the leg side. Labuschagne chases it. Duckett definitely hobbling there as he sets off to the far end. Labuschagne, a bundle of energy, threw the ball at the stumps as well. Nothing was done, and now Duckett's on strike, and he's crouching now, like he's stretching. It does look as if it's likely to be a cramping rather than anything else, but that's from a long way away. But he's definitely not comfortable at the moment. Labuschagne bowling. This is an interesting change. Into his 4th over, 0 for 23, and he bowls a Duckett, who tries to pull that away to the leg side. He's out LBW. He's reviewing it immediately. It's one of our old friend umpire Wilson's. He was very low down, and he immediately reviewed it. He's trying to flog the ball into the leg side. But is there anything there to suggest that he's nicked it? I'm looking at the ultra edge. There's nothing there. There's not even a little murmur. I think Duckett's taken his helmet off. I think he's accepting as the ball thuds into his left thigh that he's out. He'll probably head for the physio's bench. I think. He's waiting for confirmation. We're waiting for the technology. Well, we haven't actually had it yet, but the crowd's giving him out now. That's how plumb it is up on the screen.
Yeah, it looks like everyone in the
Everyone's giving him out.
stadium's giving him out. Yeah.
Yes, apart from the actual the DRS system, which is we're still waiting for.
The
Duckett's
United Arab
wandering off
Emirates,
slowly.
UAE, has the
now he's
highest
waiting.
internet
He's
penetration
a bit
rate in the
bemused,
world.
as if to say,
with
well, I
new-
don't think I've been given out yet, have I?
Well, unless the
this
on-field
is-
umpire's given him the heads up that it's out.
They could have done. It's umpire Wilson
In the
who
world,
he looks
with
pleased
nearly
with himself with the
100%
decision. Here
population.
comes the technology. It's landing on. It's one red. It'll be two reds. It's going to be three. It's hitting middle stump halfway up. But it's the end of a terrific innings. A really outstanding innings. That's just such a perfect model for Ben Duckett to play. He's scored his 165 from only 143 balls, but with hardly it wasn't a headstrong, reckless innings at all. He's just picked his moments there and done it so well. That is such a good innings, and well, you know, if that's one for Duckett to look back on with a lot of pride. Think, well, if I can just play in that mode, you're not going to get 165 every time, but at least set your stall out to play that way. Get in, get set, and get a big score. That was a fabulous innings.
Yeah, it was. His template was fantastic, and I agree with you totally. That's something for him to go back to the drawing board and look at and go, if I can do this consistently, and keep that process the same, I'll be able to contribute like this more consistently and have bigger scores, which will help England win games. Sorry, hopefully in the end, will help
it just sets it up,
games.
doesn't it? It just sets it up for the big players who perhaps have rather missed out. Today, if you look down at Brook 3, Butler 23, Livingston 14, but the platform was there. It's fabulous innings. Jofra Archer's arrived. Never quite sure what we're going to get with Jofra.
Well, it's not going to be a block.
No, it's not going to be a block. And there was me saying about Labuschagne, and rather strange that he's come on, but I'll still maintain that view. But he has taken a wicket. One for 23 into his fourth over there, but he didn't have to be bowling this over. Spencer Johnson still got 3 up his sleeve. But Labuschagne's on his way, and Jofra Archer drives him for a single down to long off.
Yeah, it was a strange call actually to bowl Labuschagne, considering they had Spencer Johnson, but maybe Steve Smith reading the wicket a little bit differently to us up here and thinking that spin will be harder to hit at the end than the seam.
Labuschagne again moves in, bowls, turned away by Carse into the leg side, big gap there, and an easy one to Matthew Short, who we'll see batting at the top of Australia's. It was nice the way all the Aussies came up and gave him a thump on the gloves, though, before he'd actually been given out, which is...
Yeah, you never usually get that from the Aussies, I can tell you that much.
No, you don't. That's driven out to cover. No run this time for Archer.
Arab Emirates, UAE, has the
highest individual score in the Champions Trophy, that, by the way, by Ben Duckett. Labuschagne again, a low full toss, clubbed away down the ground by Archer. It'll just be 1 run. So, beating Nathan Astle's 145. Andy Flower in there as well, 145. Playing for Zimbabwe, of course. Ben Duckett previously 143, but he's surpassed that today.
Yeah, he's beaten that by a long time.
325 for 7, 2 overs to go. And who's going to bowl now? Well, it's still going to be Ellis by the look of it. He's got 1 left, and surely they'll bring Johnson back for 1 more from the last over from this end. That's how it looks. We've got our orangey pink sky. It's going to be fleeting because we can only see such a slither, sadly, from our viewpoint here. But the sun's starting to set here in Lahore. Birds heading off to roost, fluttering over the ground. As Ellis comes tearing in from the far end. Here he comes and bowls a slower ball, which is driven out towards mid-off. Doesn't get there. It's mistimed from Archer. And so no run. 325 for 7. 2 overs left. Can they get 340?
Yeah, Australia bowled exceptionally well here at the end. They've taken wickets at crucial times. They've, England were looking at 360, 370. If they got it really right, maybe a 380. But, at the moment, England are going to be struggling to get to 350 unless someone comes and plays an exceptional innings.
Yeah, I think he should have got 350, don't you? In comes Ellis there, bowls, and driven away towards long on for a single by Archer.
Yeah, I agree.
They were so set at halfway.
Yeah, the platform that they'd set, the batters that they had left coming in, I guess if you probably want to be a bit harsh, you probably look at Joss having already hit a 6 and a 4 in the over and then getting out to a part-time off spinner at a crucial time in the game, and that probably you know, if England don't win the game, you could probably look back and say that probably cost you another 20 or 30 runs, but, you know, you're still taking the positive option at all times in the game.
Yeah. Carse on strike, and there's a short ball which is skied, but it's not going to carry to the fielder coming in for deep mid wicket. They're going for the second. The throw on the bounce is taken by Inglis. Had a bit of work there to take the bails off, and Carse able to get home. Wasn't the most accurate throw in from the deep, but very good running from the two fast bowlers, I must say. That's loosening them up.
Yeah, Carse is a proper athlete, and so is Archer as well. So probably one of the quickest guys going around, both of these two.
Direct hit, in fact, a good throw, and he was out. It was comfortably off target there from Labuschagne, who's shaking his head, his cross.
But I think one thing,
28 for 7.
I think one thing that's been pretty obvious is that the wicket has got slower.
Yeah, it does look that way. There's a single to Carse. It has got slower, and there's this question of dew, isn't there?
Yeah. And that was the next thing I was on to, is whether if the dew doesn't form tonight, whether that's actually going to play into England's hands, considering they've got so many spinners and so many spin bowling options against this Australian attack.
Yeah. The Aussies will be wanting dew, won't they?
Yeah, they will. And England wouldn't want it, especially Adil Rashid and Liam Livingstone, the two leggies that rely on having a dry ball and being able to grip it.
This bowl's a slow ball, a bit wide, dribbling through to the keeper down the leg side. Well, Aaron Finch knows his wind, and he's looking at the flags down there, and he reckons that those flags are not puffing enough to stop the dew forming. So he's an Australian, but he's pretty confident. I think he's pretty hopeful that there's going to be dew forming. Apparently it did last night at the end of the Australian practice. 3:30 for 7. This rushes in again, bowls a short, slower ball, which is hooked into the leg side by Archer. Again, they'll come back for the second as the throw comes darting in. To more straightforward this time. And now Ellis is stretching in rather a sinister way there, as if he might have just tickled something up.
I'm not sure they can afford another injury.
No.
Australia with a big 3 already missing.
Let's see if he's all right. So definitely did some stretching there. But, no, he's tearing in, rushing up now. Bowls a low full toss, smashed down the ground. Has that gone for 6? I think it has. No, it's just dropped in front. Jofra Archer swung the bat there like a club, and a low full toss smashed down the ground. Excellent boundary, and that brings that 340 very much into the reckoning. Who knows? A good over. They could get up to. They could get that 350 we were talking about, but well. However, look at this again. Guess who's bowling us last over? You probably can't see from there.
Is it going to be Marnus?
It is. So that again, that just opens the little window into what it's like out there, I think, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It does. I think any time that captains go to spin for a last over the game, you're expecting the wicket to be slower than what everyone thinks is going to be. So,
especially a part-time spinner. So Labuschagne bowls the last over of the innings, and the first ball is smeared into the leg side. Catch it, they shout. No, he hasn't done. It's Maxwell coming in, got there round about the half volley. He went for the catch rather than the safety of it not going for an extra run, and actually they've taken 2. I think he went for the wrong option. They might have been better off just making sure that everything was safe and secure. They just took a single, but they've got 2. Very low chance, difficult one running in. Labuschagne again bowls, hit high. Now someone will get onto this, surely. But Labuschagne himself's after it, and oh, well caught. Well, that is a really brilliant catch. Running backwards, he's taken that over his shoulder. There were fielders coming in from all over the place. A skied catch given by Carse. Well, if you're going to drop those, I suppose, on your own bowling, you kick yourself. But that was a really good catch.
Yeah, that's some of the hardest catches in the game to take, over your shoulder, running back, and especially when you're a bowler as well, because you're hoping someone else is going to get it when you're the bowler. So, but Marnus is a great fielder, always wants it, and yeah, he's taken a fantastic catch there.
That really was. We've seen some good catches today. Of course, Carey setting it off earlier on, but so they're just chipping away here. And suddenly, well, the 350 looks like it to be beyond, but out comes Rashid. Celebrated his birthday earlier in the week. As we'll get a nice picture on our screen of the sun going down, but just out of our view at the moment. We'll get a fleeting glimpse of it during the interval, which is half an hour long, and will be coming up Of course, at the end of this over, I think we're reflecting on events in the other group, I think, during the interval. Yeah. Looking back and looking forward, I suspect a big game tomorrow in Dubai. It'll be all here on BBC Radio. Of course, India against Pakistan, with Pakistan really needing to win. If they don't win, I think the hosts will probably be as good as out of the tournament after 2 games, which would be a shame. No doubt there'll be a net run rate calculation of some sort that'll keep them living in hope, but they'll have lost 2 games. Labuschagne then for the 3rd ball of this over, and Rashid scythes a drive into the offside, gets Archer down on strike. England are 8 down. There's still Mark Wood to come. He might be chuntering a bit about being number 11.
Especially with the spin.
Especially
with Labuschagne tossing them up like that. I think Mark Wood's eyes would have been lighting up.
Well, I think so. I think he might have a right to chunter as well. As Labuschagne again, bowls short, swatted away down the ground by Archer. He's hit that hard. He just stood there, swung the bat, and he smashed the ball past Labuschagne, and neither mid-on or mid-off could do anything about that. So there's 2 balls to go, I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, they're getting close.
There from Archer.
Getting close to that 350 mark, which will be a massive boost for England.
Well, agreed. Labuschagne again, scuttles in, bowls short, heaved away for 6 by Archer. Into the crowd it goes. I'm not sure this little gamble's paid off here now for Smith. He's turned to Labuschagne to bowl the last over, believing that the pitch is slow, the ball is sticking a little bit, but he's bowled some bad balls. That's the trouble. That's a long hop. This has been drilled into the crowd.
He's always been too scared to lob it up to Archer, whereas the rest of the guys, he's been willing to give it a bit of air.
Last ball of the innings. Can they get 350? They can. As that's driven down the ground to long off, and they come back for 2 runs. England have their 350. In fact, they got 351 for 8. That last over, 6, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16, wasn't it? I think off that last over. Victor, I'm just totting up as I try and talk at the same time, which is never easy. But I think I'm right in saying.
I think you're right in saying it's 15.
Yeah. So that gamble there didn't quite work. But it's interesting that Smith felt that was the better option to go rather than the quick bowler.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrific score. There are plenty of neutrals here. There are a lot of neutrals here. England, I think you've got to be happy with 350, but there are no guarantees. It's not unassailable. I think the Aussies just hung on, didn't they? I mean, they were in danger at one point when Duckett was going, and maybe with Butler and certainly with Root earlier on, that they could get even higher than 350.
Certainly a halfway, it looked like.
Yeah. But I think both sides actually. Well, I think England. You can't be disappointed with 350. There are moments, as I say, you thought they might get 370, 380, which really is difficult to chase. But 352 is not an easy target, so they'll be relatively happy, given some of their recent history. Duckett has been terrific. 165 out of 351 for 8. I mean, what a performance that is. He was limping a bit at the end. I don't know whether we'll see him field.
No, I suspect not.
But a brilliant performance from him. And Root was his main ally, playing very, very sensibly. Oddly, Root was out to the first ball he tried to sweep after he'd faced 3 dot balls from Zampa, who was one of the better Aussie bowlers. I think all the Aussie bowlers more or less stuck to their task. I thought Smith did quite well, given that the runs were coming and the wickets weren't coming. He kept switching his bowling. He got through that. In fact, he bowled 13 from his sort of 5th bowler.
Yes.
See what I see? Maxwell short, and then Labuschagne, although he went for a lot in the last over, helped him out a little bit. So I think we're in for an absolute cracking game. It's just about. I think England were the slight favourites. Slight favourites. 60% against.
Well, runs
40.
on the board, and all of that.
But
yes.
as you will mention, as you may have mentioned before, there is a due factor.
Yes.
We don't know quite where that's going to work out. But I wouldn't go away. I mean, you can take nothing for granted. So I think we're in for an absolute top order. Travis Head, we've got Archer steaming in. It's a great